This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
I'm watching Shooter for the 934th time.
Oh, is this the Mark Wahlberg film version?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Which is, like, to me, just the most infinitely rewatchable film of all time. Nowhere near the best movie of all time. Nowhere near my favorite Mark Wahlberg military movie of all time.
Wow.
But literally every time it comes on, I always stop on it. And then I do a quick channel scan. I'm like, do I have a better option? If the answer is no, I'll watch Shooter again.
Pray tell, what is
I
your
literally
favorite?
cannot tell you how many times I've seen it. It's magnificent.
What is your favorite Mark Wahlberg military movie then?
Lone Survivor is fantastic.
Okay.
I'd have to think of some others. Shooter may be number 3 somewhere. Mm-hmm. I believe there's another one in there somewhere. But Lone Survivor is great. But yeah, we love Lone Survivor.
Well,
based on a true story.
Hey, it's the true story of England.
Operation Red Wings.
England in the Champions League, apparently, as Operation Lone Survivor is maybe coming into play for England in the Champions League as we get into it later on in this edition of the Foreign Affair Podcast, episode 235. I am Edward Green, joined as always by my colleague in crime, Wes Bradshaw, and we're going to be doing it live tonight. As always, the podcast is presented by NGSC Sports and NGSCsports.com. We never stop. As well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. If you have been trying to figure out what to get that special someone who is, slightly above Jose Mourinho in the pecking order of the caste system in life, get them an sports logo embroidered pillow or thing from Alicia's Pillows and Things. You can visit Alicia's Pillows and Things on Facebook and order there, as well as on ngscsports.com. Big podcast for you guys today. We of course have a Premier League review to do with some spicy matchups there, and then we kick the spiciness up to 3 habanero logos as we hit the Champions League. Big week of Champions League action to go here. Then we have some very interesting news and notes coming out this week, as well as Watch For and So Raw. All right, Wes, let's hit right away the matches we're not going to talk about in the Premier League. Everton beats Brighton and Hove 3-1. Richarlison with the brace there as Brighton and Hove get dunked on, even as Lewis Dunk gets a goal in the match. Everton keep it up 3-1. Newcastle gets their first victory of the season against top half of the table Watford. A 1-0 victory thanks to an Ayoze Perez goal just after the hour mark. Gets Rafa Benitez's men their first win of the Premier League season. West Ham keeps on keeping on. 4-2 is their victory over Burnley. Felipe Hernandez with a brace there. Burnley's struggles continue as West Ham tries to continue to make their way up the table and into safety. Cardiff falls to Leicester 1-0 thanks to a Damari Gray goal and Leicester's emotional return to action after the loss of their chairman the last week. So the Foxes get a big win there. Manchester City beat Southampton 6-1. It might be time to call this Southampton experiment over. They just look worse and worse and worse. Only a Danny Ings penalty was enough to get them on the score sheet as City ran rampant. Chelsea beat Palace 3-1 thanks to an Alvaro Morata brace as well as an additional goal.
Real quick, I heard an interesting. I heard an interesting theory about the kind of downfall of Southampton at this point. They've stopped having a need to groom players for Liverpool. So, they've kind of lost their impetus to be great.
It's unfortunate that that's what it's come to for them. As we keep on here, as mentioned, Chelsea beats Palace 3-1. And then in a very big matchup on Monday Night Football, Huddersfield beats Fulham 1-0 thanks to a Timothy Fosu-Mensah own goal. The Manchester United cast-off dooms Fulham in this one as Huddersfield gets their first win of the season and plunges Fulham to the bottom of the table. All right, so that leaves us 3 matches to discuss, and Wes will start real quick, a little more in depth with the first match of the entire Premier League weekend. That was AFC Bournemouth versus Manchester United as the Cherries looked to move up in the table and stay in that top 6 discussion. They got out in front of United early thanks to a Callum Wilson goal in the 11th minute. But United, as they have been doing lately, looked very resilient, and we'll get to even more resiliency when we talk in the Champions League. But goals from Anthony Martial and a 92nd minute winner from Marcus Rashford, who came on as a substitute, turned the tide for Jose Mourinho's men and got them a much-needed 3 points at the Vitality that puts them level in points in the table with Bournemouth. Wes, Manchester United does manage to pull off the win, but it's kind of been a theme this year for them. They've started off really slowly in a lot of their games this year, and at least in the past couple, and as I mentioned, the Champions League, as we'll get to, they have at least found ways to grind out victories and produce these come from behind results.
Well, they are really and truly playing Mourinho ball. And Mourinho ball, a lot of people have come out and said, well, if Jose has such an issue with his back line, why not just go out and try to outscore people? I mean, look at the attacking talent that United have. But no matter what Jose Mourinho does, it always starts. His number one goal is to not get beat.
Yes.
And that's not going to change. Obviously, at this time of his career, that's not going to change. And due to that, United have shown this year especially to have a propensity to start very slow. And just recently here, not even recently, I mean, kind of look at all season, look at a lot of the wins they have. They haven't been dominating, we've just got this and taken it by the scruff of the neck performances. It's been getting a penalty at the right time, getting a free kick at the right time. They almost seem like they play better when they're coming from behind. It's almost like your best bet with United is to, keep it close, keep it 0-0, and then score late to beat them. Because if you go up a goal, that almost seems like it frees them up to do some things that maybe they don't usually have the audacity to go and do. Mm-hmm. So, but it seems like once they're down, it's like shit. We don't have anything to lose, so we've kind of got to throw something forward and go for it. So, if United keep finding a way to go down early, it seems like it just works better for them. So it's a great game plan. Go down a goal.
Absolutely. Obviously, it's working for them. As you mentioned, just looking at their past 4 matches in the Premier League. Down multiple goals to Newcastle, come back to win that one 3-2. Down a goal early against Chelsea, come back to take a 2-1 lead before ultimately conceding late to draw. Everton, they win by a goal, and then the comeback win here against Bournemouth. So 3 of their last 4 matches, they've had to come from behind to get points. And just looking at their entire Premier League schedule here, only 1 win by multiple goals on the season, and that was at Turf Moor against Burnley when they won 2-0. And I want to say, I wish I had this tweet in front of me. I believe it was like the teams that have scored 5 or more goals in a Premier League match since United last did it in 2012 is like 13, 14 teams, including some like Championship and League One teams, and like City's done it 12 times, and I think Tottenham and it's done it 9, and Liverpool's done it 8 or 10 or something. They have the talent, but Wes, is this kind of approach sustainable for Manchester United going forward?
Oh man, that's the thing. I don't see how it can be, because you're completely playing with fire in this kind of scenario. Mm-hmm. And Mourinho's already kind of crawling across that razor's edge as it is. To me, I almost see United as becoming more traditionally getting up and just winning matches. Mm-hmm. I think this team is starting to turn around and come good. Which, I hate that, but I enjoyed the chaos. It seems like the chaos has kind of toned down a little bit over the last month, and they are starting to somewhat find themselves. And really, even though it has been difficult for them, they're not making things easy. United seem to be finding an identity. Mm-hmm. Now we'll start to find out coming up here. They've got some big matches on the horizon.
They do,
but Bournemouth, as much as you kind of scoff Bournemouth, I mean, hell, it's a team that's ahead of them in the table right now.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, as we'll talk more about the Champions League, what they were able to do in Turin. So, I hate to say you can't count this United team out. Oh, and don't forget with the rule changes that we talked about, where you're not cup tied now in January. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are expecting United to possibly throw some big resources into the January market, where now it almost seems like buying in January, it makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so it didn't really make that much sense. So
certainly, and that's something we're going to have to keep a look at. Obviously, Zlatan has been rumored to make a comeback. Don't think that's going to happen, but certainly some big moves could be made, and United's certainly not afraid to spend money. It's just, can they spend money on the right people? Speaking of leaving it late and trying to find an identity, Tottenham in the late game on the Saturday, starting all the way at 3:00 Eastern time on Saturday. Tottenham gets a 3-2 win at the Molineux Stadium against Wolves. Tottenham got off to a hot start thanks to Eric Lamela and Lucas Moura. They both had goals inside the first half hour to get Tottenham comfortably in front 2-0. Harry Kane at the 61st minute looked like he had pretty much put it away at 3-0. But Wolves got a pair of penalties with about 20 minutes to go that looked to have set up a grandstand finish, and Wolves kept pressuring and pressuring. But thanks to a couple of big Hugo Lloris saves, Tottenham manages to pull out 3 points on the road. And right now, Tottenham have the best mark on the road so far this season. 6 wins, 1 loss on the road. Of course, they've played the most road games thanks to their stadium situation, but Tottenham really making their bones on the road this season. Wolves, not a team to be trifled with, as we've seen so far. But Wes, I think even with the late game shenanigans that took place, I feel like what we're starting to see as people come back into the Tottenham team, guys like Christian Eriksen and Son and Dele Alli, who didn't even feature in this match, but obviously would play a big role come the Champions League match. It does feel like the Tottenham team is starting ever so slowly to piece itself together. And whereas a couple weeks ago, I remember we were talking about, could Tottenham find that gear and really crank it up to the level we've come to expect from them? The hints are starting to be there that maybe, just maybe, Tottenham is starting to figure it out.
It is, and really, you look at Tottenham, a big November ahead. Already a couple games, couple of wins. Crystal Palace is just not a team you can take lightly. Even though, that should be one for Tottenham. And then, really where are we in this season type match when they take on Chelsea after the international break? That has all the makings of such a big match coming up.
Well, not only that, but they have the North London Derby right after that as well.
That's right, and also then they play Inter midweek with obviously now at this point massive Champions League implications on the line in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have Inter coming to London, so that's an interesting one, like you said. Then going right into December, the North London Derby. So it's still we're at a point now. This is a good time for Spurs to be getting guys back, to be getting them into good form, to be hitting that, because like everybody, they have a very busy December coming up. Oh, yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people are feeling, we're gonna kind of see what Spurs are made of, because one of their question marks around them all season has been the depth of the squad. And, really, when you get into December and you play in the Premier League, because, winter break be damned by anywhere else but the Premier League, because, hey, we got TV to show, we got to make our money. That's kind of where everybody is going to answer the question about depth. Mm-hmm. I think the only team that we have a good idea about are called City. Liverpool, for all the talk of their depth, they're going to have to prove it in December. Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, even that plucky little Man U. These are the teams that they're going to have to make their bones in December, and it's going to be important for guys wanting to stay either in the title race or, trying to solidify a spot in the top four where Tottenham currently find themselves. But for Spurs right now, I watched a lot of that Wolves match over the weekend, and it was, when Tottenham got going, they looked so impressive. Mm-hmm. And then late, it kind of looked like, hey, we're up 3-0. We're going to cruise home. And Wolves almost got them. Mm-hmm. Wolves got a 3-2 and then had their chances. But on the day, I felt, even though Molyneux was rocking, it was a big-time environment. Spurs were definitely the better team on the day, definitely deserved all 3 points that they got. But this is a Tottenham team. But, and I hate to bring it up, but it's out there. Mm-hmm. It's being thrown out there, so it has to be said. There are still question marks around Spurs that don't have to do with the 11 put on the field. Mm-hmm. The stadium issue is still ongoing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember if we mentioned a few weeks ago, but pushback again to going into the stadium. And with the firing of Julian Lopetegui, Pochettino's name is right back as one of the top candidates for that job. Mm-hmm. And much like we just talked about with players being available in January, there's a thought that coaches may be available at that time too. Now, I cannot find a scenario anywhere other than Daniel Levy in January selling Harry Kane and Dele Alli. Yeah. Where Pochettino is going to leave before this season is over.
Well, and I agree. And just if I may interject real quickly,
interject away. Go ahead.
I have, I've followed and I've heard the same things that you've been hearing. Of course. I do think one huge thing for that, because you just mentioned Harry Kane and Dele Alli. Harry Kane, before the season, signed a big contract extension, and then just I think about a week ago, Dele Alli also signed, I think, a 4-year contract extension with Spurs. Right. So, and I can't, you never know. You never know in this game. We don't know. But I have to imagine that there was some talk of Dele Alli before he went and signed that paper said, hey, Gaffer, you going to still be here, I don't know, by July? And probably got some as close to a level of assurance as you can get in this sport. So that's why, and especially then if Eriksson, because I know the talks have been going on with his people, if he signs relatively soon, I think we can, barring a complete organizational falling out, I think we can put to bed rumors of Pochettino leaving for a little while at least. That's what I will interject into that.
I mean, I definitely, and like I said, leaving in January, you have to sell Kane and Ali. Obviously, that's not happening. Mm. To me, it's obvious Pochettino ain't leaving in January. Mm. My only thing thinking is, I think there are two jobs that could get Pochettino out of Tottenham, and they are PSG and they are Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. And we say PSG, people are like, PSG, what the hell? Of course, he was a very good player himself at PSG. Mm-hmm. That was kind of where he made his name mm-hmm. in the game, was at PSG. And apparently, from what we hear, Paris does hold a special place in the heart of Mauricio Pochettino. And with Thomas Tuchel, as much as I think it will be a mistake, because I think Thomas Tuchel's a fantastic manager, PSG are not exactly known for their patience.
Yes.
So it's just that it could come in the summer where the two jobs that you could see Pochettino leaving for may both be they may be fighting over Pochettino. And it's just at the end of the day, when you've got two clubs who basically have open checkbooks and will go and get the players that would make him happy, and I mean, in all honesty, can pay him more than Spurs. Mm-hmm. That would be my only fear for Pochettino. Last I've never, there have come rumors about him leaving for Manchester United. Yeah, I've never taken those very seriously. Mm-hmm. I don't see him leaving Spurs for another job in England. Mm-hmm. No, that's not to say, that's not to say, he might not go to Real Madrid and in 5 years, need a job and go to United. I'm not saying that, but I just don't see him going Premier League to Premier League.
Right.
But that said, right now, I don't think that's any sort of a distraction for Spurs mm-hmm. for what it is. The only way I could see that becoming any sort of an issue is maybe April, mm-hmm. maybe May, if the rumors are really cranking up. Mm-hmm. But for right now, I don't think that's going to be an issue for him. And I think with that issue kind of out of the way, I think the Spurs team could be set to hit a really nice run of form. And it would come at a good time because, once again, you got Chelsea, you got Arsenal in the Premier League coming up. You've got Inter and Barcelona coming up in the Champions League. Spurs need to make their move, mm-hmm. I guess you would say. And once again, I don't think Spurs are a threat to win the Premier League at this point.
No, I don't think so.
No. I really, the more and more this looks like it, it looks like City's going to win the league. Mm-hmm. And maybe Liverpool can give them a run. Maybe Chelsea can hang in there. But what will it be at the detriment at? Yeah. But I just, I think Spurs are in a position to battle for that third place spot. Anywhere really from second to fourth, Spurs are able to battle for those spots. And especially if they're going to be knocking out of the Champions League, which once again, they've got a chance, but they're going to have to get some help at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they're going to have to beat two really good teams. But I think if Spurs can just solidify right now, they've still got the makings of a really good season ahead of them.
Absolutely, and of course they're still alive in the League Cup in the final eight there, and
the one that matters.
Yeah, exactly. The least mattering of all the cups. They're still alive in there, so they will keep on keeping on though. And as you said, an important match against Palace to send them off into the national break coming this weekend. All right, Wes, the last Premier League match we need to talk about.
Jesus.
Arsenal won. Liverpool won. James Milner, boring, rocket-firing James Milner coming through with a 61st minute for Liverpool that sent the Emirates into an even quieter silence than usual. Got Liverpool going. But, hey, this guy, Alexander Lacazette, who, if the fans had their way last year, probably wouldn't be at Arsenal anymore. He comes through with the equalizer in the 82nd minute as Arsenal grew into the game. And as these two teams have played some very exciting matches in the past couple of years, this one certainly did not disappoint either, as it finished 1-1 at the Emirates. Wes, as we enter Anfield Corner here, this was the start of a not great week for Liverpool so far. Obviously, still time to turn around at the end of the week, but this was a match that Liverpool could have looked to saying, all right, road test against Arsenal, who has been on fire recently. I believe they've been unbeaten in 12 straight matches in all competitions after their rough start in the beginning of the Premier League against City and Chelsea. Go on the road, beat a top 6 contender, and keep pace with City. And they were so close to doing it, but they just could not quite finish them off. I'm sure as I've texted you a couple times, very measured, well-reasoned response, I'm sure, from the Liverpool fan base. But break down the Liverpool Arsenal match for us here.
Well, I'm going to start off. I'm going to talk about Arsenal to start with.
Sure.
We kind of made our joke. The Emirates was even quieter than usual. But in all honesty, this year, I'm going to tell you, Unai Emery has brought hope and desire back to Arsenal Football Club.
I'm making the joke while I can, because I don't know how much longer for now I can make the joke.
Agree. I'm gonna tell you, man. This is a different Arsenal than played under Wenger. They have a verve. They seem like they have a desire to go out and try to play hard.
Mm-hmm.
Mesut Ozil excluded, of course, in all of this. But got to have that player guy. But this is an Arsenal who now they are still very suspect at the back.
Sure.
And in true Liverpool form, we scored 1 goal and probably should have had 6. By all freaking means, Virgil van Dijk should have had a hat trick in this match. Mm-hmm. He missed an absolute hat trick of sitters. So, they were there. I'm still nowhere near convinced of Arsenal at the back. Mm-hmm. But, man, in midfield and up front especially, they are much improved, much more resilient, much tougher. It is a different day at Arsenal right now.
And I just want to real quickly mention something on that. And this is something they mentioned at the start of the match and continued throughout the broadcast. You talk about Arsenal being suspect in the back. Good on Unai Emery for then saying, well, we might just be in a shootout. Let's put all our offensive players in. Let's start Mkhitaryan. Let's start Ozil. Yeah. Let's start Aubameyang. Let's start Lacazette. First time those 4 have started in the same match this season. I hate to do it because it's Arsenal, but I give a lot of credit to Unai Emery for saying we might not be able to stop the big 3 of Liverpool, but we're going to make their defense work as well with our guys. So great job by them, I thought.
Right, and on the day, really overpowered Liverpool in the midfield. Mm-hmm. Fabinho, a disappointing match. Not his best day by any means. I think Fabinho is a work in progress for Liverpool and still has all the makings, I think, of being a top player, but he's just got to.
Well, and something that I think you can talk about with that is something our Lord and Savior said earlier this week in an interview. Zlatan, when he was talking about the Premier League, says, he thinks the talent level is a bit overrated and that some things are a bit overrated in the Premier League, but he said the pace will absolutely kill you if you're not prepared for it. And I think that's what you're seeing with Fabinho right now is just the adjusting to the pace of the Premier League, especially in a match like this with that much talent up top, is very difficult for him.
And I mean, it's not like French players sometimes don't need time to adjust.
Yeah.
Lacazette.
Yeah, exactly.
But guys coming to that French league, sometimes they say it may take up to a year to really adjust to it. And you're seeing that from a guy like Lacazette, who's having a great season, and it looks like he's doing exactly what they brought him in for. Now it just took a while, but I mean, take out the maybe dreadfulness of Fabinho for the day. I mean, Arsenal were just really good in midfield. My God, Granit Xhaka is suddenly looking a competent midfielder who doesn't get a red card every match he's back from his previous suspension. Aubameyang is looking a lot more comfortable in London this year. Also playing under Unai Emery, I think that's helping him a lot. Ozil's still a waste of space when he doesn't feel like doing what he wants to do. Mkhitaryan, I think Mkhitaryan is showing what can happen when you can just get the hell away from Jose Mourinho. And so for Arsenal, I mean, it's coming around, and it's scary. It's scary to think about because, I mean, they're sitting in fifth right now, but they're right on the precipice of the top four. And I mean, this is a group now who, Emery has not really been able to put any sort of a stamp on this team. Wasn't given much money at all in the summer, but I think he's showing what a good coach he is by turning around the dreck that was left from the ending disaster from Arsene Wenger. Mm-hmm. And it's frightening for us Arsenal non-supporters and, truth be told, just Arsenal haters in general. But I mean, they're impressive this year. And the thing is, they might end up being such a better team than they were last year and not make the top four just because of what's ahead of them.
Sure, yeah.
But I think we're going to have to look and say, damn it, they're a lot better.
I mean, if this team finishes fifth and 1 or 2 points out of fourth place, I'd call that a pretty damn successful season for them.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think they've got a ceiling like maybe the four teams ahead of them do. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they've taken advantage of the schedule and what it's been after that tough start. And, I mean, they went and held on to a point against Liverpool and had a chance to take all three. But really, okay, now to get over more into the Liverpool side, we saw it in Belgrade. We've seen it for a while now. This Liverpool team is just not firing on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. This is a team that, right now still undefeated in the Premier League, and that's great. 2 points out of first. Really, at this point of the season in the Premier League, I don't think we could ask for much better. You're 2 points off of City, who are just fucking unbeatable, apparently. And they're doing it with defense. And yes, I've said all year, this is good. Defense wins championships. But at the same time, this is a Liverpool squad who scored all those goals a season ago, were so explosive a season ago. You can't tell me that just kind of playing a little more conservative is suddenly turning you from 4 goals a game to 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, things are just not clicking right now. Firmino has been almost a shell of the player he was last season. Mo Salah, it's been well documented, is not the explosive, blistering player he was a season ago. Sadio Mane has been somewhat wasteful. And overall, Liverpool are just not getting any sort of a goal contribution from midfield, which this has been an issue for a while now. Naby Keita, who was brought in for big money, he's been injured off and on. He's had 2 injuries now that's caused him to miss time. And when he has played, he hasn't really been able to get his feet under himself before getting hurt again. Mm-hmm. Keita might be the guy who comes in and gives us that oomph in midfield. We've never replaced what Coutinho brought. Yeah. Now, you're saying, but Wes, all spring you said we're better without Coutinho. I think Liverpool hit a run of form last year where they had figured out how to do it without Coutinho. Mm-hmm. And Liverpool were playing at such a frenetic pace a season ago that you could get away without Coutinho. the way that they're playing right now, Philippe Coutinho would be, to borrow from Ray Hudson, magisterial in this team right now. That is exactly what this Liverpool squad need, is that guy who can unlock and do things and has the great defense behind him. I mean, right now, Coutinho would be better than what we'd ever seen from Coutinho in this Liverpool team. But that said, we don't have a guy who does what Coutinho does. The Fekir deal fell through, which, hey, he's been injured all season, so maybe not as crazy as we thought Liverpool were. Oh my God, sometimes, modern medicine does apply to things.
Weird.
It's not just fucking FIFA and Football Manager fans. But that is something Liverpool's missing. Naby Keita is not that type of player, but Naby Keita can offer a lot, I think, when he comes in for this Liverpool team. Also, Xherdan Shaqiri has shown signs of being able to do some of those things for this Liverpool squad. It's just with him also adjusting to the Liverpool style. Now, he's come through and has had some really nice moments. But I don't think he's totally put it together what Jurgen Klopp wants to see yet. Same with Fabinho, same with an injured Naby Keita. But I wouldn't be surprised. I guess I'll say I would be a little. Traditionally are not really going whole hog into the January window. And yes, I know we spent $75 million last year on Van Dijk, but I think that was a deal that had been in the works for about 6 months.
Sure.
That was not a reactionary signing. That was obviously the way it was done. It should have happened last summer, and Liverpool pissed off Southampton, so it didn't. But Liverpool are not a team who are well known for going into January and doing things, especially under Klopp. But I wouldn't be shocked, especially if we're still in the Champions League. I wouldn't be shocked to see us maybe go take a chance and try to find a center attacking mid who brought some pace and maybe brought the threat of scoring some goals to this squad. I think that's what we're really missing right now. And hopefully that would help kickstart the front three. It's just not clicking up front right now. And once again, luckily the defense has been as solid as any Liverpool defense I've put eyes on. So, but Liverpool are kind of walking a tight line between staying near the top of the Premier League, staying in the Champions League, and falling off a cliff.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been close a couple times. Obviously, the Chelsea match, that needed a last-minute Daniel Sturridge goal to get the point there. The City match where Riyad Mahrez missed the penalty late on that would have given. So you're right. Liverpool have very much been walking a tightrope.
Well, and even the Tottenham match where the late penalty shout went Liverpool's way.
So I mean, it's one of those things where right now balancing on a bit of a knife's edge is Liverpool's season, especially as we'll get to in the Champions League in just a moment. But first, your schedule for your roundup of Premier League matches this weekend until we hit another international break. At 7:30 a.m. this Saturday, you get Cardiff versus Brighton and Hove. So if you want to stay in bed for a little bit, go ahead. At 10 a.m., you have Leicester versus Burnley, Newcastle versus Bournemouth, Southampton versus Watford, and Huddersfield versus West Ham. At 12:30, you have Crystal Palace hosting Tottenham on NBC. On Sunday, you have Liverpool versus Fulham at 7 a.m., Chelsea versus Everton at 9:15, Arsenal versus Wolves at 11:30, and also at 11:30 you have a Manchester derby as City hosts United at the Etihad. And that takes us to our international break. Before we hit the weekend, though, a look at the table. City now lead Chelsea and Liverpool by 2 points. Chelsea is second right now on goal differential. Tottenham are in fourth, 3 points behind the two teams above them. Arsenal are in fifth, 1 point back of Tottenham. Bournemouth and United level on points in sixth place, but they are 4 points out of a Champions League spot. The bottom of the relegation zone, Newcastle right now just outside of it thanks to goal differential, while Huddersfield, Cardiff, and Fulham all find themselves at the bottom, needing to escape. And some teams have escaped in the Champions League, where right now it's just going crazy. We thought, maybe going into the second round robin, some things were already solved. Nope. This is the twists and turns of the Champions League group stage in full effect. Starting quickly in Group A, Atletico Madrid with a comeback, not a comeback, but a revenge win against Borussia Dortmund after Dortmund 4-0'd them in Germany just a couple weeks ago. This time Atletico with a 2-0 win over the German side, thanks to goals from Saul and Griezmann. Club Brugge beats Monaco 4-0. What that means is Dortmund and Madrid are both on 9 points. They're both very close to advancing to the knockout stage. Club Brugge has separated themselves from Monaco, trying to get that third place Europa spot. Wes, not much to say in Group A. This is more or less how we thought it was going to go, with Dortmund and Madrid trading home matches and just trying to jockey for that first place spot.
Absolutely. I mean, by far, two best teams in that group. They've proved they're the two best teams of the group. Big up for Madrid. Dortmund have been red hot over the last couple of months. I mean, just absolutely red hot. And Madrid to go and beat them, and not just beat them, but beat them pretty convincingly. But the first time when Dortmund beat Madrid like they did, I think we were all surprised. So, I guess turnabout's fair play, we'll say, in that one for Madrid.
Yep, and two strong teams that could be coming out of the knockout stage. Don't think, especially if Atletico's that second seed, don't know that a whole lot of one seeds coming out of Group Play are going to be chomping at the bit to play Atletico in a 2-leg tie.
No.
Heading to Group B now. Some late drama in matches in this group. Barcelona Inter was 0-0 until the somewhat maligned Malcolm came through with a 83rd minute goal for Barcelona, only to be responded 4 minutes later from Inter Milan's talisman Mauro Icardi in the 87th minute to rescue a point for Inter and put them one step closer to the knockout round. Tottenham, with their group stage on life support, gave up a second-minute goal to Luke de Jong. Always get those de Jongs mixed up. There's so many for some reason. From Eindhoven. But Tottenham, through Captain Kane, which that's what the official match report is for the second goal, got a pair of goals late on in the final 10 minutes to save Tottenham's Champions League season for now. The second goal is taking a couple big deflections before finding its way in. But hey, United's not complaining either about those deflections. Tottenham with the 2-1 win at Wembley. Still must win out against Inter and later Barcelona to have a chance to get out, and then most likely need Eindhoven to get a result against Inter in the final match week. But Wes, this was where Tottenham could have folded completely and said, well, we don't even want to go to Europa. We're just going to go solely on domestic competition. And they came back. And I'll tell you what, though, even before those two goals, Tottenham looked completely in control outside of like those first 3 minutes of the match where De Jong scored. Aside from that, Tottenham looked absolutely exquisite. As we say, should have probably had 5. But they got the 2 that mattered. And again, another match where Tottenham is getting closer to that complete match. The very, very brief start was the blip, and the rest of the match was very, very good from then on. Just like Arsenal did against Liverpool, Tottenham sending out their entire attack force, seemingly, starting Dele, Kane, as well as Eriksen and Son, as well as Lucas Moura, just all out attack, and it really came through in the end, as well as Lamela eventually coming on as well. So again, Tottenham's chances, Wes, still pretty low to get out of the knockout stage, but this does give them a chance as they host Inter Milan at Wembley in a couple weeks to maybe, just maybe, pull off that miracle run.
It is, and the way I heard it put is it keeps Tottenham barely on the life support for at least another couple of weeks. It was a fantastic result for Tottenham because truly they deserve the. It would have been very harsh to even walk out with just 1 point. They were that much better than PSV on the night, and at the end they did get the 2 goals that they well deserved. Big win for them. It is going to be an extremely tough ask at this point for them to get out of the group. But even if they don't get out of the group, if they can just finish it strong, it does at least keep you. I guess it makes you feel a hell of a lot better coming out of it. I'd rather be playing well and miss it because, well, we sucked early, but we're getting good now. And also, it's part of the master plan for the Europa League final between Arsenal and Tottenham. North London derby on a grand scale.
Don't you tease me like that. Don't you
tease me with a good time.
Oof. Got me all hot bothered now for that. So
and the only thing that's going to be higher rated than it's going to be the United Liverpool Champions League final.
That's cute that you think United would make the final. Sorry, Josie. But hey, we'll get to. They've given themselves a big chance too as well. But first, Liverpool. I just made that joke, and we'll see if Liverpool makes it out of groups.
And United are in better position than we are.
It's very true. At the moment, it's very true. First off, we talked about how crazy Group B was this week. Group C also kind of nuts. PSG and Napoli playing to a 1-1 draw. Lorenzo Insigne getting the equalizer for Napoli on a penalty, canceling a Juan Bernat goal from PSG early on in stoppage time in the first half. But the big story was
Thank you, sweet draw.
Yeah, exactly. The big story, Red Star getting a 2-0 victory over Liverpool through a pair of exquisite goals from Milan Pavkov. And Wes, I would like to say I was watching the game, but hey, Bleacher Report, you guys are doing a great job. It
actually was on TBS. It was just at like the 12:55 match.
Yeah. Anytime I can rip them, I'm going to at this point.
It's horrible.
I did manage to see the highlights, and the goal is scored. The second goal is scored by Pavkov, and the camera just after a few seconds cuts to Klopp on the touch line, and he's almost just kind of laughing like, well, I guess this is how we lose with just a pair of worldies today. Just a couple of phenomenal goals, and that's how a team like that gets an upset over a team like Liverpool. It just takes these phenomenal goals to beat them. Alisson just no chance on either one really. But Liverpool does suffer defeat, and because of that, they are now second in the group. They're level on points with Napoli, but they are behind on head-to-head points with the Italian side. PSG just 1 point behind both of them. And hell, Red Star is 2 out. So they're still very much in the mix of things as well. But Wes,
we said it was the group of death.
It was. We B and C have been just delicious. C now really ramping up into form. And Wes, I know you're going to talk to us about the match, but this just makes their next match at the Parc des Princes against PSG. I don't think I'm overstating this, but I think it's almost a must-win for Liverpool.
Well, okay, just to get on it, I actually have the scenarios in front of us right now.
Yes.
A result, it's a must result. Now,
Okay.
Here's the deal. If Liverpool win, we're going through. Either way, we are guaranteed to go through if we win at Paris. That will put us 4 points up on PSG.
Yes.
And assuming that Napoli take care of business, that would put PSG out with a match remaining. Wow. Sweet Lord. A draw is not a bad result. With a draw, and once again, let's assume a Napoli victory here. Okay, it says a draw will be a good result ahead of the Napoli game if the Italians beat Red Star on matchday 5, as Liverpool would only need to equal or better PSG's result in the final round of fixtures. Mm-hmm. Okay, a loss would suck because that means that we would have to beat Napoli by 2 goals or win by a goal and hope Red Star can get a result when they host PSG. Mm-hmm. Which, hell, apparently going to Belgrade is fucking terrible. So.
Yeah, apparently.
But, so basically we have a little wiggle room either way here. It's just, we're Liverpool. Do we want to do things the easy way or do we want to do things the Liverpool way? So I'm fully expecting to lose 1-0 in Paris and then be up 1-0 in the 90th minute at home against Napoli and just see what the hell happens.
They're playing for those European nights at Anfield against Napoli in December. That's what it is.
Don't need that in my life. But anyway, so, the one thing for Liverpool, as shit and disastrous as that night was, and the fact that the 2 losses we have in this Champions League are probably the 2 worst games I've ever seen us play under Klopp. Mm-hmm. Due to that first win, Liverpool still completely control their own destiny in this group.
100%.
All we got to do is beat PSG and we're in, or just don't lose. Mm-hmm. And we're giving ourselves a chance here. So, Liverpool, it is doom and gloom on Merseyside this week because it's just how we roll.
Calm and
but at the same time, it's not the end of the world. And yes, going to PSG is going to be tough as hell because obviously Liverpool do not play well on the road for whatever reason. Yeah. And we're going against PSG. But, in this match, it was... Oh, God, it was one of these. You saw it early. Daniel Sturridge had the early chance to put us up. And when it came off his foot and flew over the goal, it was kind of like, oh, shit, it's going to be one of those nights. Can we steal a winner here? Some great quotes after the match from Klopp and our captain on the night, James Milner. They asked Milner, when did you start to feel things were going wrong? Milner said in the first minute. And they asked Klopp, what went wrong tonight? And Klopp said, I don't have enough fingers to count it on. So it was just one of these terrible nights, really breaking it down. Liverpool looked listless. They looked lifeless. Our midfield registered 0 tackles in this match.
That's not good.
Let that sink in. Wijnaldum was a passenger. Milner stunk. Lallana suddenly looks like he needs to go back to Southampton and not be a Liverpool player anymore.
Yeah, Twitter was not kind to Adam Lallana.
No, Lallana. Now, you almost have to take it with a grain of salt. Lallana's coming off a very long-term injury. Mm-hmm. But, in this new Liverpool, this isn't the Liverpool that Adam Lallana was brought into under Rodgers. This is a different Liverpool now. This is a Liverpool that they've gone out and they've spent money on midfielders, and they look like they're not afraid to go and find the players that Klopp wants. Lallana's going to have to find a way to prove his worth. He's going to have to find a way to keep his shirt and keep himself in the discussion. But Lallana was abject on the night. Liverpool run over in the midfield. Joel Matip, while maybe not, at fault for either of those goals, he just didn't quite inspire that oomph at the back. Mm-hmm. I think we were really, really looking forward to seeing Dejan Lovren because playing Red Star, Croatia and Serbia, you want to talk about a rivalry. Yeah. You want to talk about 2 countries who despise each other. God, we left Xherdan Shaqiri in England for this reason. Basically, so Shaqiri wouldn't be assassinated. We left him at home. And I think Lovren would have come out and been great. Him and Van Dijk are a really good partnership. And it just seemed like Matip, while once again not at fault, we just didn't have that bite that we seem to have when it's either Gomez or Lovren teamed up with Van Dijk.
Right.
So that was something. And then, like I say, it just seemed like we didn't We didn't have any bite on the night. And at the end of the day, you've got some of this on Jurgen Klopp. I thought it was a poor team choice. You got to look at the schedule. You got to look at what's coming up. I know Klopp likes to rotate, and that's fine. He needs to rotate. But the thing is, you've got Fulham on the weekend.
True.
And then the international break. Rotate against Fulham at home. This is the Champions League. We have a chance to go and really take control of the group. I mean, if we come out of this, we're sitting on top of the group. We're sitting ultra pretty. I mean, it would have taken a royal fuck up by us to not qualify. And instead you go to what is deemed the weakest team in the group. And we get just beaten and beaten down. Mm-hmm. And Daniel Sturridge, to me, Daniel Sturridge is not a starter anymore. He is a super sub. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to start Firmino, who we talked about earlier, has been off the boil this year. This would have been a great place to have Xherdan Shaqiri. Play Shaqiri, you can put Salah up top. But we somewhat limited our options by leaving Xherdan Shaqiri at home. Sturridge stunk on the night. Lallana, as we said, was bad. Matip, it just wasn't the right combination. Fabinho had the bad game against Arsenal. But damn it, this is the match you put Fabinho in for.
Right.
I mean, he was absolutely dominant against Red Star 2 weeks ago. That was the bite that we needed in midfield. Mimi. At the end of the day, it was a rotten night in Serbia, and the Serbs took it to us. I like Red Star. I like the idea of Red Star. I mean, it's not like I keep up with them that much, but
sure.
Hey, I think they're a pretty cool team. Mm-hmm. They have a really nice pedigree. But you don't expect this Liverpool to go in there and lose. That said, the only other time we've been to Red Star was in 1973, and they whooped our ass. And now that night is known as the night that changed the way that Liverpool play in Europe under Bill Shankly, and kept on, just the style that we played. Mm-hmm. Going forward, we got a lot out of that match against Red Star. And of course that was in another time and another day, but for Red Star, their first win in the Champions League, back then the European Cup, since 1993.
Jeez.
Of course, they were the winners in 1992.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, those were obviously great Red Star teams. But, I mean, as we said, it has left this group wide slam open. And somehow Red Star is still in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think Red Star are going through, but, I would absolutely be delighted if they can maybe get a result against PSG.
Hey,
better if they could go to Napoli. I don't think they'll go to Napoli and get one, but, hey, they did their job at home against Napoli.
Exactly. I was just about to say they drew Napoli 0-0 in the first match of the season, or in the Champions League, so.
Yeah. Group C is still up for grabs big time.
Real quick before we move on, and I don't mean this as a question to pile on, but it's something I've noticed you've said as we've gone over the course of the season, and I just want to real quickly revisit. Joel Matip. What happened? Wasn't he pretty good when he first got to Liverpool?
I'm going to tell you what I truly feel about Joel Matip at this. Mm-hmm. I think when Joel Matip came in, it was a point where Liverpool's defense was so shit.
Okay.
That it's like, you've got to be better than what we had. And he was. Injuries have taken a toll on Matip. Injuries and the fact that Lovren, we figured out with Dejan Lovren what he needed. And that was Virgil van Dijk beside him.
Yeah.
When Lovren can be your number 2 center back, oh, buddy, you've got a badass partnership there. Mm-hmm. I mean, because Lovren, as much as we laugh about the things that he said and the way he says things, when you really start breaking down Premier League central defenders, you don't go very far down before you're like, Dejan Lovren's actually really good. It took him not having everything on his shoulders mm-hmm. for him to come good. And I think, unfortunately, for Matip, it's almost like guilt by association. You've got a borderline world-class player in Van Dijk. You've got maybe the best up-and-coming English central defender in Joe Gomez. You've got a World Cup finalist central defender in Lovren. And suddenly Joel Matip is the fourth best center back that we have.
Right.
And I think, if Matip was playing in a lot of other sides, you'd be like, hey, he's a right good central defender. It's just compared to the other three we have right now, he is definitely a step below them. So, like I said, I don't think it's so much that, what happened to him. Once again, injuries played a part, but I think it's more just Liverpool have very much gotten better at that position since Matip was the best we could get.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, when comparing him to Martin Skirtle, he's a better central defender. Comparing him to Kolo Touré, he's a better defender. Comparing to Virgil van Dijk, he's not a better central defender.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. All right. Well, that answers my question then. All right. So then let's head to Group D, where a little bit has been decided after Porto's 4-1 drubbing of Lokomotiv Moscow. The Portuguese side gets the big win there as they top the group with 10 points. Schalke 04 gets a 2-0 win at home against Galatasaray. With that, Schalke 04 now sits second place and is 4 points up on Galatasaray ahead of their travels to Porto in the 5th week. So Porto and Schalke have at least, they are going on to some competition's knockout stage. Lokomotiv cannot advance to the knockout stage of the Champions League. That's what's been decided so far. But still some big results here. Again, though, Wes, definitely a group that it's nice that these teams are playing, but not a whole lot of excitement here yet.
No, Porto's quietly putting together a fantastic Champions League campaign thus far. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's just you kind of expected Porto to. So, for Porto's a team that always seems like they're in the team. Mm-hmm. But they had a great campaign last year, and then they hit the Liverpool buzzsaw. So,
it happens.
you just can't judge Porto at this point based on their group. So.
Absolutely. Well, there's another Portuguese side in Group E as well who's not faring as well as Ajax and Bayern Munich currently top the group with 7 points apiece. Benfica are at 3 and Athens are at 0. Wait, why aren't these matches filled in? That's interesting. Okay, there we go. That was really weird. Sorry. Bayern tops the group with 10 points. Ajax have 8. Benfica have 4. Athens has 0. So Athens, of course, falling to Bayern Munich 2-0. Brace for Robert Lewandowski there. Ajax comes back to draw Benfica on the road 1-1. Deuce and Tadic with the equalizer there for Ajax in Lisbon.
Deuce and Tadic. Clap, 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 clap.
Great result there for Ajax as they are just a few points away from jumping into the round of 16. And usually, Wes, Bayern Munich's great. Normally, when we talk about Ajax, it's which of their players are coming over to the Premier League next. They're the Southampton of Dutchland. But
Matches Delete will be the next one.
There you go. But quietly, you talk about Porto. Quietly, Ajax starting to make a name for themselves in the Champions League and have a chance to do some damage once they get into the knockout rounds, depending on who they face.
And just like I kind of said about Red Star earlier, I like the idea of Red Star because of that lineage. Mm-hmm. Man, you want to talk about a damn hell of a lineage, Ajax. Ooh. I mean, Ajax have had multiple golden generations where they have produced just some of the absolute best players in the world. Most recently under Louis Army, where you go down that group, and I mean, it's kind of like it is today. They all turned up in the Premier League in Italy later and were considered the greatest players in the world. But I like to see teams like that. You know me. I like the traditional powers in college football. As much as I hate Notre Dame, I admit that college football is better when Notre Dame is good. It's more exciting. it's more exciting when the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers are good. Football's the same way when you've got the Real Madrids and the Barcelonas and the Manchester Uniteds and the Liverpools and the AC Milans of the world, when they're all competing, it just feels a little bigger. And to have someone like Ajax in there that has that pedigree, that, hey, when they get to the knockout round, you can bring up the great players of Ajax history and the great teams of Ajax history. You can talk about total football of the Orange of the 1970s. You can talk about all that. And I like it because it just seems to add more. And I mean, really, who the hell wants to see Benfica?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just at the end of the day, who wants to see Benfica?
True.
Come on.
Very
So go Ajax, as you like to call them back in the day, just to get my goat.
Ajaxica.
Ajax.
The Ajax.
Oh, we say it in America. Ajax.
Ajax, like the cleaner. That moving on to Group F, Manchester City keeping up their dominant streak. That's, in case you're counting the matches we've talked about them today, they aggregate of 12-1. 6-0 drubbing of Shakhtar. Gabriel Jesus with the hat trick in this match. And Lyon and Hoffenheim playing to a entertaining 2-2 draw. A late equalizer from Pavel Kaderabek gets Hoffenheim a point on the road. Nabil Fekir, apparently he was healthy this week, did score the early goal for Lyon.
The Fekir.
So with that draw, City now at 9 points, top the group. Lyon are at 6, Hoffenheim at 3, Shakhtar are at 2. And, Wes, this has actually been a pretty tough group as well, but it looks like City now, after that early loss at home against Lyon, finally starting to make their way out of it.
Absolutely. And I would just like to point out one thing, thinking about Nabil Fekir and how he almost came to Liverpool. Liverpool have a very big Irish and Scottish fan base. Mm-hmm. Can you just imagine? Oh, look at the Fekir.
No.
Which is, of course, how they say fucker. And
yes.
Oh, the Fekir, ye. So I really would have enjoyed that. But,
all right, good anyway. Fecker.
Damn knee of his. Anyway, back to what's important. Man City. I mean, Man City are hitting a stride right now.
Oof.
And what's scary is they're doing it without Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about straight depth, and they've got it. And this is a group they should dominate. So there's nothing out of the ordinary right now going on. Mm-hmm. For City, this is the part where, okay, this is what should be happening, so we're not really concerned with it.
Mm-hmm.
All grades on City season, all analysis on City, everything really needs to just put it in a bottle right now and hold it for the round of 16.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's when it starts to actually matter for City. They did lose that first match, but they've quickly righted the ship. And, mm-hmm. I mean, they're going through. There's no doubt about it. They're going to go through. They're going to win their group. So there's nothing really for them to worry about right now. They're going to be judged on round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals. That's where they're going to be judged this year.
Certainly. Nothing to worry about for them until we hit the news and notes. Group G. Real Madrid now asserting themselves at the top of the group after a 5-0 victory at Pizen in the Czech Republic. Roma with a 2-1 victory over 10-man Moscow. Big victory for the Italian side as they now are level on points at top of the group with Real Madrid. Real Madrid going through as top right now on head-to-head. But those two teams will meet in a couple weeks in Rome. Real Madrid just, taking care of business, kind of like City. And I think, a lot of things we say about City, we could also say about Madrid, especially this year, without Cristiano Ronaldo playing in. Can they make another title-winning run to the final?
The thing about Madrid is even under the great Zinedine Zidane, they were such a different team between being in Spain and being in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they just, even right now, they look better in Europe than they do in Spain.
Much.
I mean, right now, if I was putting money on it, I'm not putting my money on Madrid to make it to the final, much less win the final.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm going to tell you, I think they've got a much better chance of winning the Champions League than they do La Liga.
Oh yeah, oh for sure.
And if I had to put money on one or the other, I would definitely put money on them going in the Champions League. They just seem to, and those guys, I mean, they have every European pedigree that there is now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it'll be something to watch because, you know, it's kind of Madrid are kind of like Duke basketball in the NCAA tournament. Madrid and Europe are like Duke basketball in the NCAA tournament. You never believe that they're out of it until someone finally beats them.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're sitting there now as a North Carolina fan, you're sitting there going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And then somebody beats me, you're like, oh, thank Jesus they're out. I can breathe now. Yeah. That's what it's going to be like with Madrid. And by the way, did you see what Duke did to Kentucky? Holy shit.
That's scary.
Holy shit.
That was a murder.
So loaded. Can't wait to see them go out in the second round to Loyola. But anyway. Yeah, they'll do it. Good job, dude. But that's how I feel about Madrid. I mean, until someone slays the beast, Madrid are still there. Maybe not the front runners, but they're still there on the periphery until somebody puts them down.
Absolutely, they are the kings until somebody knocks them out. And finally, Group H.
And Ed, as we know from Omar.
Yeah.
Come at the king, you best not miss.
Omar's coming. So as we hit Group H now, the final group, Valencia with a ho-hum 3-0 victory over those young boys of Switzerland. They're in deep trouble now in the group with just 1 point. Valencia jumps up to 5. And they look like they might be in second place as we finish match week 4 in the Champions League. But Jose Mourinho's men had other ideas. After a great goal from Cristiano Ronaldo in the 65th minute in Turin.
Great goal by Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Magnificent goal
and hey, you talk about, it was like, that's it. That's the match winner. That's how it goes in the Champions League with him. It was not to be. Juan Mata with the free kick goal to equalize in the 86th minute, and then a scramble in the box, and then Leonardo Bonucci with the own goal gifts United the win. I guess Bonucci just, was shocked at United's history or something, because I know that plays a big role for him. United with a miracle comeback in Turin. Big win for United. Puts them at 7 points now, 2 up on Valencia, as of course United will be taking them on in the final match week in Spain. A match with young boys still to come. But Wes, this was 2 of the biggest goals United have scored all year. I mean, if they lose this match, they're sitting on 4 points, 1 point behind Valencia with 2 matches to play, and now all of a sudden they're just 2 points back of Juventus for first. What a turnaround!
Oh, absolutely, and it was pure Mourinho ball. Yeah. I mean, Juventus were so much better than them in this match.
Yeah.
I mean, Juventus hit the woodwork a couple of times. They had so many chances to really just put this away and didn't. I mean, Juventus were on the end of, God, we could have scored 5 today. Could have scored 6 easily. But they didn't. And the Juan Mata free kick was magnificent.
Yes.
And it was set up by a fake run-up from Ashley Young that got Wojciech Szczesny moving just to his left and opened up that corner for Mata. A superbly taken free kick. I mean, can't do better than that. And then the clutch and grab. That last United goal was the most English goal that they could have possibly scored.
Yup.
I mean, that was so England if there's ever been in England. And it just, it hit the back of the net off Bonucci, off Sandro. Pogba looked like he was trying to claim it for a second, but I think it was like this. And at the end of the day, United, Juventus is up with 85 minutes left, or 85 minutes in. Who the hell thinks Juventus is losing?
not anybody on our end.
Drawing, maybe. Losing, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Just Juventus on the day missed way too many chances, left United in it. And, United, as we talked about earlier, they're kind of finding that late match, we're down kind of spirit. So, if you ask me, I just scored too early.
Yeah. Scored much too early. That's
in the 63rd minute.
Yeah, just much too early. Well, that is going to do it for our Champions League talk. Again, big wins for United and Tottenham to keep their Champions League seasons alive in this one, and be the end of November before we head back into there. All right, so let's hit the news and notes. Big story, of course, coming out this past couple weeks has been the football leaks that have been being released. The latest ones came out last Friday, and this is from Gianni Verschweren out of Bleacher Report. And Der Spiegel over in Germany has had documents given to them that showed, and we knew PSG and Manchester City, we knew they'd run afoul of FIFA's fair play rules, financial fair play rules, I should say. But now we know more about the extent to which they did. Books were cooked, potentially with the help of people in UEFA, especially with the deals that were guaranteed. Michel Platini and Gianni Infantino, who of course is now the head of FIFA's governing body, may have helped PSG get a lot of their money, as well as help some of those financial fair play sanctions go away. You can go read more about it online. Thanks to, again, Der Spiegel's report. It's being somewhat downplayed by PSG, although not as much as we thought it would be. Also, according to the Twitters, Manchester City's owners allegedly injected $2.7 billion into the club over the last 7 years through its shareholders and overvalued sponsorship contracts, which infringe financial fair play regulations. Part of it also with PSG being owned by Qatari representatives. Nicolas Sarkozy, the former French president, apparently told the future owner of PSG in 2010 that if he bought PSG and launched a sports channel in France, which became beIN Sports, that he would instruct Michel Platini to award Qatar the 2022 World Cup. And, Wes, we already knew City and PSG were super shady when it came to this stuff. We knew the Qatar winning the World Cup bid for 2022 was super shady. It's not hard to believe all of this is true, and the two questions become, one, do you believe they're true? And two, if they are proven to be true, what the hell happens next?
Ed, are you telling me that the head of FIFA is corrupt?
I should have warned you to sit down before I told you that. I'm sorry.
Jesus, I just broke both my legs and my ass.
Woof.
Oh, man. Ed, are you telling me that the French are fuckheads?
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry,
Ed. You were just breaking down my worldview tonight.
I didn't mean to do this to you.
No, I mean, I hate to say it makes sense. The whole FIFA financial fair play, was put in, and I still don't know what the hell to think of financial fair play. Yeah. Hey, you know me, I'm a capitalist. If you can spend it, you go for it. Hey, I'm a baseball fan. Jesus. I love the Red Sox. The whole thing, we know that PSG and Man City, their ownership groups, we know they've got money.
Mm-hmm.
We know they got a lot of money. But the thing is, this whole financial fair play was based on so much more than just what your owners had in their pocket. And yet, and really, I mean, financial fair play was put into place, and it was really all about, hey, the big clubs are going to maintain their status quo. And really, there's almost no way into that upper echelon other than like a decade of doing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here comes City and PSG who suddenly get these deep pocket, huge ownership groups. And suddenly they're able to do things that it was looked at and everybody's like, well, no one can ethically, legally do this in like less than a decade. And they both turned out to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously there's got to be something shady. If we're still, here's the thing, I can't ever remember if we're even still playing by financial fair rules or not.
Probably.
Because, the only team I've ever seen punished for it is AC Milan.
Yeah.
And that was because they cooked their books so damn bad and did it so publicly like idiots. But, I mean, I'm not surprised one bit that this has come on both PSG and City. They're the poster children of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Man United, as much money as they spend, you know, United have decades of doing this. Munich have decades of doing this. Barcelona, Real Madrid, they have decades of doing this. They were established as those top clubs who could do it. Was it shitty that they were going to basically benefit no one else? Yeah. But now these other two have kind of crashed the party. And suddenly, you know, it's funny. It's coming out of Germany.
Yeah.
I'm sure part of it's coming out of Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one bit when Marca pops up and has their say in it. And those are the powers who have maybe had the issues with City and PSG. So, I mean, this is not a shot that it's coming out. The thing is, you know, as we've seen with financial fair play before, how far is this going to go? And what kind of any real penalties will be assessed due to this?
Mm-hmm.
But also the fact that it's Gianni Infantino, you got the hierarchy of FIFA suddenly drug into this. You've gone through a recent corruption issue with FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was supposed to be the one who wasn't. And now it's coming, oh, yeah, he's corrupt too.
Yeah.
So, Ed, all the trust that I'd put in FIFA as my world governing football body. Ed, how will I sleep at night knowing that someone corrupt is running FIFA?
I don't know. We were promised better, and we should have expected much, much less.
And Sarkozy, Jesus Christ. I mean, are we surprised that Sarkozy's a crook?
No. No, we knew he was.
Jesus, I mean, we knew he was a crook. So, he did more shit. Well, no joke. Look at France.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally can't carry a butter knife in that country anymore. Oh, man, yeah, France. But, yeah, I mean, this is bad. It's bad, especially if it really ramps up into something.
Mm-hmm.
Because where do you go from here?
Yeah, I mean, you start having to think: do you just kick them out of the competition, like for at least for a couple of years? What do you do with Infantino? What do you do, you know, with the owners of PSG and Man City? You know, I don't know, man. I don't know at all.
I mean, the proper course of action would be European competition, but then you're looking at it as you wait. FIFA, and you're like, shit, you know, these are two of our banner clubs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're talking Neymar and Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
Shit, you know, Kylian Mbappe, the future of the game. Oh man, it would send shockwaves if any real punishment will met it down. If I had to make a guess,
mm-hmm.
I would expect to see some sort of a fine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when it's all said and done, maybe they'll be fined. Oh, God, we're going to take money from them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's really going to hurt as they produce 1 million barrels of oil a day. And, you know, it's I just think it would be too massive a blow to take those two teams, especially out of European competition at this point. You know, AC Milan has the pedigree, but AC Milan does not have the recent history of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was easier to do it to them because they're not one of the major teams.
Well, we're gonna see what happens. This is only the beginning, I feel, for this story, along with a lot of these leaks. Our final story tonight in news and notes also has to do with Gianni Infantino in a slightly better light. And I had thought about putting the story about the latest Super League discussions that came out, led by Real Madrid. I don't care. I didn't want to talk about it because I feel like we've said everything we need to about this stupid thing. So,
I don't want to talk about it until something's actually happening. I mean, now that thing about the World Cup now, I mean, that is a little interesting sidebar to it, which could have a lot to do.
And that is what we are going to talk about here.
Yeah.
So there was a league considered to have 11 permanent member, or mostly permanent members, and 5 rotating members for a 16-team Super League, blah, 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 blah. Gianni Infantino says, okay, if you do that, if you go out and make your league, which won't be governed by UEFA or FIFA, that's fine. None of the players who play in it can play in the World Cup. And so we're talking about players from Real Madrid, the biggest Manchester City, PSG, so that knocks out Neymar and Mbappe for the moment at least.
It's basically everybody. It's everybody. It's all the major superstars. I mean, it's Ronaldo, it's Salah, it's Messi, it's as you just said, it's Neymar, it's Mbappe. It's all those guys. It's De Bruyne. Yeah, I mean that if that is brought down, I think that stops the Super League in its tracks at this point.
Oh, I think it has to too. Yeah.
But that said, will Infantino have the power to enforce that? That's the thing. You can say it all day. Can you enforce it?
I think he could, because again, if they do this league outside the bounds of FIFA, then they could just say, all right, well, to play in the FIFA World Cup, you have to play in a league sanctioned by FIFA as for your club, and that's it. And that's now would he be able to do that? Or would he actually go through with that? I think that's a different question, but I think that's what he'd say.
Well, and that said, then too, it also comes out to how they were Super League. And I guess that's the thing is I don't think we've gotten far enough to know exactly how Super League will run. So I mean that would have something to do with it, but and by the way I say enforce it, there's a judge somewhere that's going to say, oh no, you said I overrule it. And I mean that's the thing, I can see if this happened, I mean they could litigate the shit out of that forever. And I mean, personally, who wouldn't want to skip the Qatar World Cup anyway? But still,
true.
Yay, Americans, our chance. Shit, we have to qualify first. But I don't see the Super League happening in the next 2 years anyway. And like I said, I think it would be fascinating just to see how FIFA tried to really enforce that rule. Because like I said, man, everywhere. I mean, God, you can litigate over it. We live in America. You can litigate. Dog. So I think that would be a fascinating subplot just to see how it could be, how it could be enforced.
Yeah, I think it'd be a very bold step. We've already seen Infantino trying to make bold steps and trying to, as I believe I mentioned last week, trying to stop the La Liga match from taking place in America. So he's trying to act tough, which, hey, based on our last story, we'll see if he has that kind of power for long.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, if he's caught on corruption charges, Infantino might be gone.
Yeah.
Before this comes to fruition, or if it comes, whatever, Infantino might not have a final say in any of this.
Yeah.
So, he could be like, oh, well, fuck you. Hey, fuck you, you're gone. And Real Madrid and Barcelona, we're still here.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. We'll just wait for you to get kicked out. And we'll corrupt the next guy and do what we want.
There you go. It's such a great, great, great system. Speaking of great systems, Wes, let's hit the watch for. What are you watching the week that was or the week that will be?
We're coming up to the penultimate episode of American Horror Story, which usually is the one that wraps up. Or at least where we get the big action and then the wrap up the week after. So we'll have to check that out. My God, there was something and I've lost it. Dude, I cannot freaking remember what I watched. I watched something. I can't remember what was it. I'm at a loss. I saw Venom last week. That was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Venom was pretty good. Shit, there is something else that I cannot think of or remember. So I'm done. That's it.
Okay. Let's see. What do I want to talk about this week? Superstore and The Good Place continue to be really good. I've caught up on Doctor Who. Still have to catch up on the last 2 episodes of Skullface Bookseller Honda-san, which continues to just be a great show. Just so stupid. Man, is it a good show. Trying to think if there's anything else. Watched college basketball. That's back. Watched a little bit of the Carolina game, and then I watched a little bit more of Duke just absolutely dismantling Kentucky, which, oh boy, can't wait for that to happen in the future NCAA tournament coming up.
Your NCAA champions, Villanova.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Why the hell not?
So yeah, college basketball's back. That'll be fun to start getting back into slowly, but surely here.
You have fun with that, my friend.
Hey, I will. It's when you don't really watch football anymore. This is, you go from baseball season, you just jump into college basketball. Yeah. So have you figured out what you watched?
No, I haven't. I mean, it's totally left me. What the hell ever it was.
Well, before you,
I can't remember if it was something I watched or something I wanted to talk about watching. I can't remember it at all.
Well, before you rub your brain raw, Wes, why don't we get so raw with the WWE?
I'm telling you, man, I'm holding on by a thread with WWE right now.
Oh no,
I'm holding on by a thread. Something I don't think we really touched on a few weeks ago, just because of what happened with Roman Reigns, and we didn't touch on it. Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins that night and officially destroyed the Shield again.
Oh yeah.
I had not anywhere near the same emotional effect as the first time, where I wet myself to sleep for like 3 straight days. This time it was like, well, we've been waiting for heel Dean Ambrose anyway. And that's going to be great. That's going to be awesome because heel Dean Ambrose, we've known it's going to be amazing. So, I think if he's booked right, which I have to unfortunately preface everything in WWE with now, if they do this right,
yeah,
Dean Ambrose has the potential to be a mixture of Steve Austin and Brian Pillman and Roddy Piper. Unfortunately, I just don't believe in WWE writing it this time or creative that's going to happen. So we'll see. So the Shield is no more. Again, sure it'll be back someday. We'll see. They had the Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia, the much maligned Crown Jewel.
Yay.
Guess what, everybody? Brock Lesnar's the champ again.
Yay.
Maybe he'll show up before the end of the year. No guarantees. Never a guarantee around here. We're working our way to Survivor Series. It looks like Survivor Series is going to be a lot of champion versus champion matches. They have announced we're going to see Lesnar versus AJ Styles,
okay,
which I believe we saw last year at Survivor Series. So, WWE champ versus Universal champ. You'll get the U.S. champion versus the Intercontinental champion. Intercontinental champion, of course, Seth Rollins. And I'm not going to lie and tell you how bad of a wrestling fan I am right now. I really don't know who the U.S. champ is at the moment. I haven't watched SmackDown in a while. The tag team champs versus the tag team champs, which is AOP is the new Raw champs. Ambrose and Rollins had actually won the tag titles a few weeks ago, and that's when Ambrose turned on Rollins. So Seth Rollins basically had to defend the tag titles by himself this week against AOP, and it was a good little match on TV, but ended up AOP winning. So good for them. The authors of pain.
Yay.
And the Bar has them over on SmackDown, Cesaro and Sheamus. Women's Summit. Now, this is the one that everybody's really talking about. The women versus women match. Heel Becky Lynch has been a revelation. Oh, she's magnificent as a heel. Big baby face for as long as she's been up. But, turning on Charlotte Flair, winning the title from her, and she's going ham as a heel. This whole kind of internet thing that Becky Lynch is the man.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's kind of the thing right now. And she's going to be facing Ronda Rousey. And it has been heated. It has been a very heated back and forth between these two. And I'm actually really looking forward to that one, maybe more than anything out of that is Rousey versus Lynch. Oh, that could be fantastic. And then we're going to have the traditional Survivor Series matches. I did not catch who the captain of the men's Raw team was. Maybe it's Baron Corbin. I don't know. But for the women, it's Alexa Bliss, which makes me happy because that means I'm definitely going to get to see more Alexa Bliss, which just always makes my week. And they're going to be picking those teams coming up for the pay-per-view at the end of the month over on SmackDown. Sorry, haven't watched it. Just haven't. It's not that it's bad. I just, I haven't had time. And Raw has had the whole, DX and the Shield and Reigns going away. And that's just what I've been watching. Speaking of Crown Jewel, there was the big tag match between Degeneration X and the Brothers of Destruction, which once again, awesome match in 1998. It was a really good match. Unfortunately, Triple H, he is like almost 50 years old, and he does only wrestle once or twice a year. And sometimes when you're not in wrestling shape, shit happens. Triple H tore his pec. Oh. Which, yes, it hurts about as bad as it sounds like it hurts.
Oh, God.
And there was a picture. He had surgery on it the other day, but before he had his surgery, and like his entire left portion of his chest up like into his bicep was like black and purple. Oof. It kind of looked like a Liverpool jersey. And it was really, really gnarly looking. And I guess now the question is just where are we going to go from here? Because there has been rumor of Shawn Michaels having a WrestleMania match. Is this going to slow it down? Just what's going to happen here? So there are a lot of moving parts right now for WWE. And unfortunately for them, they're just not getting a lot of them right at the moment. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it going forward. But WWE's they really need to do something right now. The product. Here's the thing: the talent level is phenomenal, and the product is just it's like early mid-90s abysmal right now.
Oh no!
I mean, now we don't have Duke the Dumpster Drozy or the Goon. Now I'll tell you, a hell of a gimmick in the mid-90s being a hockey goon.
Oh God!
Yeah, being called the Goon, and he was basically a hockey player who wrestled in a hockey uniform, complete with boots that were made to look like skates.
Nice.
Yeah, we're not that level cartoonish, but this whole Shades of Grey shit that we've been doing the last few years, where we don't have defined heels and baby faces. Everyone could be a little heel and a little bit. It doesn't work. I mean, the best shit going right now is Becky Lynch being a heel, is possibly Dean Ambrose being a heel, is Samoa Joe being. I mean, that's the best thing going right now. So WWE really needs to pick it up, but I mean, I'll keep watching. Like I said, the talent level's so good. I've got to keep watching. But I'm super disappointed in the product overall right now.
Very disappointing. Well, hopefully it will continue to get better, and little by little, maybe it will. Just like our show. But that is going to do it for the end of this podcast as we run it down here on the Foreign Affair. Once again, thanks to our sponsors, including NGSC Sports, as well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. You can find them on the Facebook as well as NGSC Sports on Twitter. You can also find us on Twitter at AFA Pod is our collective. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us, as I mentioned, on Facebook as well as Instagram and YouTube via our parent show, the All New Sports Show. You can also email us at that address, allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Also, like to thank our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store, as long as iHeartRadio still has money, I guess. So big shout out to all of them. We will be back next week to talk about everything that happens in this final week of action before another international break in the Premier League, and any more news and notes that happen. But before we get out of here to end this episode, Wes, is there anything else you'd like to add?
It is, thanks to a hurricane about a month or so ago, it is the last week of high school season.
Yay!
And, brother, we are bringing you a good one on the game of the week. We've got Tarboro Southwest Edgecombe. Between them, only one loss. And I believe Tarboro has given up a grand total of 13 points this year.
I can look it up real quick for you.
Maybe they gave up another one and they've given up 20. But either way, it should be a good game. And it is, a big-time rivalry game with a lot of bragging rights on the line here late in the year. So I'm really looking forward to Friday night. And I just hope it stays Friday night. They don't switch it on me again. That would be really nice of them. Which I figure they probably will tomorrow, but we'll see.
So I have looked it up. Tarboro has given up, quick maths, 25 points this season.
Oh, God, they've gotten really sloppy.
Yeah, they've gotten really sloppy. The last 2 weeks, they've given up 7 to Riverside and then 6 to Jones Senior. Really hurting their goal differential here when they're only putting up 59 against Riverside and 66 against Jones Senior. I mean, just what are they thinking over there? Shameful.
I agree. It's a little, it's a little sad, but I guess sooner or later, everybody finally they're smart.
You go 5 straight games without giving up a point, and then you give up a touchdown and another touchdown. Unacceptable from Tarboro.
You're right, and Andy. The coaching staff and I have talked about how unacceptable it is. So we'll see. But Friday night against Southwest, playoffs included, this will probably be their best game of the year. So.
Oh, absolutely. And so you can listen out for Wes calling that matchup. But for now, we will bid you all adieu and catch you guys next week for another edition of the Foreign Affair Podcast. For my Colin Crime, Edward... For my Colin...
you called yourself your own...
For my Colin Crime, Edward Green, I'm Wes Bradshaw. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Foreign Affair Podcast.
As always, that's wrong. I'm Wes Bradshaw. I'm Wes Bradshaw.
And enjoy the football.
And you don't try to steal my identity on this show. I'm Wes Bradshaw.
Oh, go ahead. Tell us good night, Wes.
Good night, everybody. I love y'all so much. Subscribe and give us a 5-star rating.
There you go.
Don't we do that somewhere? Sure.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Sure. Just do it.
Just do
it.
There we go. So I just did some more quick maths here. Tarboro averaging, obviously, 2.5 points a game. Scoring 57.1 points a game. So they're almost 55 points a game better than their competition.
And that's because they don't really play the fourth quarter, and most of their games have second half running clock.
This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to NGSCsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.